And there we go. So right now we're doing the Six Flags over Belgium map. Simple one. This is the first one in Open RCT2. Pretty simple here. Goals are you have to at least 3,500 guests in your park. At the end of October, year 4, with a park rating of at least 600. Once again, it's like I've played these before. Never really have played the Six Flags ones. I've played a lot of the other ones though. So let's give it a try and see what's going on. So when you start out here, they actually give you a pretty decent park to start out with. But there's a lot of open area, especially towards the back here, that I wanted to work on. But let's start up here with this little open area I like here. Looks like we could probably even put either some smaller rides or maybe a smaller coaster in here. But let's take a look at what we got. Let's try to make like a smaller, like maybe not a thrill rides area, but maybe a gentle rides. Maybe throw a smaller thrill ride there, like a motion simulator. So let's go ahead and start out with maybe a haunted house. But there's not one in the park yet. So let's see here. Plonk it down there. Let's throw those in. Open it up. So this one's free, so that means that there's a charge to get into the gate. We'll start out there. We'll just drag that down, so we'll have a nice path going on here. We'll make it double wide just so that we can have a little bit more space in there. And we'll just kind of grow right there. And then we'll plonk down a few flowers because we can. There. Oh, nope. There and there. And there's all that taken care of. And now let's lay out a little more of this area. I kind of want to draw. Let's use this path here to make a nice loop. And we'll now usually in amusement parks you don't want to have loops like this. At least in Roller Coaster Tycoon. In real amusement parks, loops are pretty common. If you look at anything like a Disney park or something like that, all of them are loops. Or like a hub and spoke, like you have a big wheel and then there's spokes coming out to each end of the wheel, and that's just to help get people around the park a little bit easier. A lot of Cedar Fair parks, if you look at them, they're more like a four-leaf clover, where they have a couple of different loops that go around that actually meet at one central point, and usually that's what the kind of their big icon in the middle of the park is. Things like the Eiffel Tower and some of the Cedar Fair parks that were once Paramount parks is kind of the big idea. So yeah, that's how usually how most amusement parks are set up. But in Roller Coaster Tycoon, that's not the greatest idea, just because the guests can get lost. When they originally created this game, the AI were not great, but I mean they're still decent. They can figure out things pretty well. But at the same time, you really want you really want to keep everything relatively straight. Right, let's go back to here. Just plonk down some benches. Now, how I like to do benches, I always kind of like to do a pattern. So I do 2 lights, or a light, and then I try to do 2 benches because they seem to use those the most, and then a trash can. I just kind of repeat this pattern, and it does usually take a little bit of money and a little bit of time just to get this started. But once you get this started, it actually makes a really nice pattern throughout the park, and it kind of shows a little more uniformity throughout the park. Now, I remember when I was younger, and my dad actually introduced me to this game. He was really big into it. We played it so much that we actually broke our original disc for this game, and actually had to make a backup copy of it. So I still have that somewhere up on my desk. But this one I actually downloaded off Steam, and then there is a somewhat of a mod pack that you run with it called Open RCT2. What that does is it opens up a lot of new ideas for the game, a lot of new features for the game that wasn't in the original ones, and it makes the game a whole heck of a lot better. Things like when you hire staff. So if you look here, there's only 9 mechanics. I'm going to hire a couple more. Originally in the game, when you would do that, you would actually have to plunk them down one by one, and if you had to hire 10 or 12 of them, it could take a couple minutes. But now if you actually just click this, it'll automatically place them in the park, which to me, that is a lot better idea to do, just because you don't have to take that time trying to place individual one and they'll spread out. They actually pick a random area in the park and then they're automatically spread out into the park. So it makes it a heck of a lot easier. I've noticed there's a lot of litter coming up through here, so I think I'm going to throw in a couple more janitors as well. Throw down 20 total. And I am going to assign one to a path. I have him go around the carousel here and back around, and there we go. All right, so let's throw in a motion simulator, because I know those are really popular rides. If you've ever ridden a motion simulator, you kind of know what these are. If you don't, or maybe not know what a motion simulator is, if you go to places like Disney's Hollywood Studios or places like that, you can ride Star Tours, or if you're a little older, if you rode Body Wars, both of those are motion simulators. They actually are. I enjoy them quite well. I have actually had the enjoyment to ride Star Wars. What is that ride called? Star Tours. I'm sorry, Star Wars Star Tours on May the 4th, which was a really neat experience. But yeah, those are motion simulators. They're always very popular. They're usually, the line, especially in this game, is pretty accurate. They're usually quite long, just because the throughput on them aren't great. It might only be able to put 30 or 40 people in a ride. If the ride takes 10 minutes, then you're only doing six rides per hour, and so that's 180 people an hour. So usually they're kind of low on the throughput, but that's okay. What are we going to do next? We got a carousel. Oh shoot, I forgot to put it. A path leading from the exit. There we go. Well, I think about what we're going to do next. So let's place down our lights and our benches still. Dude. I can't remember, some of these music. When I had stopped playing this game for a while, and I really hadn't played games like this in a little bit. But when I started playing, I played Planet Coaster for a little while, and once I got to Planet Coaster, I really started wanting to play this game a little more, because this is a little more micromanagey. You can actually manage the parks a little better, I think, in this game than you can in Planet Coaster. And I kind of missed that, so I decided to pick this game back up, and I found the Open RCT2 mod for it, and I've really enjoyed it so far. So let's plonk down a Ferris wheel here and here. Open this up. We'll snake this along here. I think I'm going to leave it there. Draw this path out, and then let's see, what kind of shops do we have? The balloon stall in. This is a second one, but that's okay. There. Well, there's an information stall up here. There is. Good. Now, since I've been playing this recently, I've actually learned a couple tricks for this game. One of the neat things they added in OpenRCT2 is actually be able to type in values here. And I learned that the best thing you can do is actually increase the prices of umbrellas for $20, which seems kind of outrageous. When I worked in merchandise for Cedar Fair, I think ours were like $35 or $40, and the max in this game is $20. So, as I've grown up, I've realized that it's actually not a bad price for them. But I also learned recently that when it rains, people will pay any price for umbrellas. So if you crank them up to $20, they'll automatically pay $20. And in games like this, where your money is kind of limited, that actually makes you a lot of money pretty quickly. How much are we charging for entrance fee? $30. Let's let's crank it up to 35 just to see if we can get a little bit more money coming in. And then run some advertisements just to get a few more people in the park here. You know, while we're here, we'll also do the research stuff. Roller coasters, we don't really want water rides or scenery for now. We'll pop open, we'll do half price entry. Now, when I was younger, it was hilarious because I always thought free entry, that means everybody got free entry to the park. And I used to freak out, and I never used those. Now, as the case is, that's not true. Only maybe a quarter of the people have that. A lot more people have the half price entry to the park. And you might wonder why you would do something like that. You know, even why amusement parks do it in real life, too. The reason they do that is that they can get you into the park then, and then since you haven't spent anything to get in, you're more likely to spend money on things like food, merchandise, extra games, and things like that. So it makes sense to actually do giveaways like that. And it really doesn't cost the park anything. I mean, a little bit of advertising money, but you can actually gain a lot more money, or you stand to make a lot more money for it. So yeah. So let's see here. We've done the advertisement, got the, let's crank this up to max just so we can get some more rides a little bit faster. If you notice, we are running a little low in the bottom right here. We're running a little bit low on money, but I'm not too concerned because a lot of the rides we're building are relatively small, so not that concerned about it right this second. Right, we'll just plug. I got that down. There we go. I did kind of one of the things I do wish that was a little different is that I wish, like, if you had trees here and you wanted to plunk down a thing, it does say that there's a tree in the way. I just kind of wish that they would, you click it, it would drop it, and then charge you for both tree removal and for the and to plant the plants. But also something that the Open RCT2 add-in was more awards for the game. So every once in a while you'll see something pop up at the bottom here. It'll be your news. What that is things like new rides, if something breaks down, if guests or complaints are really high about something, it'll tell you about them. It's pretty neat how that works. But every once in a while you'll see one pop up in gold that says your park has won this award for the best food, or the best flowers, or the best rides, or the most colorful park. You'll see it, stuff like that, and that'll help actually increase how many guests come to the park. Because right now what we're kind of running up against is what they call the guest cap. Now, what the guest cap is a cap in Roller Coaster Tycoon, both 1 and 2, that each attraction that you have in your park gives you a certain guest cap. Things like burger bars, restaurants, things like that will give you something like 10, maybe 12 guests, whereas some of the larger coasters like this Corkscrew Coaster adds 100 and some odd guests. So first of all, if you're running a scenario like this where you have to get a certain amount of people in your park, you actually are going to need enough rides to actually make that happen. And to do that, you just got to keep building coasters, building rides, things like that. But knowing what the actual soft guest cap is does help quite a bit. So that's why I like building some of these smaller coasters. They help, or smaller rides. They're relatively cheap, and they still bring in about 30 or 40 people per ride. So right in here, if we average about 30 things, 30, 60, 90, 120, that's probably more like 40 or 50 people. So you have 180 people just from the little section we did here, and it only costs us about $8,000. Whereas some of the bigger rides, like coasters, stuff like that, can cost upwards of 5, 6, 7,000. And at the same time, they really don't. They only provide 100. So it kind of is kind of a balance of what you need versus what you can get for a coaster. Now, coasters are always popular in games like these. If you even look at amusement parks in real life, they usually have the longest lines. They have the most hype around them. They have the most advertising around them. So that's why they still have a wait here, just maybe not as big as some of the smaller rides here. So let's throw in a crooked house. Do I want to put it under the coaster here? Because I know I'm cramming a lot into this one little area. So what I might do is then throw a small ride like the Crooked House here. Plunk those down. And then we will do this. And then I might put a small car ride in here. Just to see what kind of things. We'll throw one of those in. We'll build our custom one just because I got the time. Let's see here. What do I want to put down? Put it right, maybe give us 2 lanes. We'll do it here. So large. Oh, we'll do one more station platform. Do a large turn, then up. Let's back it up 1, and let 1 off, so we can turn it here. We'll go up to 20 feet. I'll go down. Now, I usually take way too much time doing stuff like this. In Coaster, it can be even worse. Because you kind of want to make these things, for rides like this, you want to make them fun for your guest. But since there aren't usually a huge attraction, I don't try to spend too much time on them. But I still want to have some fun with this because, even if I don't complete the scenario, I still have... That's kind of the big thing, is having fun with these games. Especially ones that I used to play with my dad all the time. I can remember him. He would sit on the ground by his old desk, and I would be controlling it, and he'd be telling me what to do, how to do certain things like that. And I used to love doing that. We used to spend hours doing stuff like this. So it was a fun experience. There we go. It was a fun experience to do or have, and I learned how to play games like this, and that's kind of what's got me into amusement parks and roller coasters and things like that. And it does help that my first job was at an amusement park, so that was rather fun. Now, for a car ride like this, you kind of want to look at some different theming. If you have a theme in mind, things like maybe a dinosaur ride, especially with pickup trucks, that would be kind of an interesting one. There's not really much here for that. I might just use like a simple garden ride where you're driving through a garden. That seems like a pretty popular choice for rides like this. So let's down just a little more. Let's see here. That's what those were. All right. What we'll do first? We'll put a hedge around the whole place, just to kind of make it kind of define the area of it. It makes it look kind of nice too. Well, you always remember it's not the Eric, or it's the Eric in this game, not Wasad. And something else that I thought was kind of funny, and it just kind of dawned on me. You hear a lot of this music in this game, and I can remember it. This music from especially the merry-go-round and other parts of this game, pretty vividly. And that's something I didn't think about when I first started working for Cedar Fair, is that you hear music like this all the time. When I worked in merchandise, I could almost memorize the entire playlist we would play at our store, just so that, or just because we would literally hear it for 8 to 10 hours a day, every day for 5 or 6 days a week. All right, let's throw in a few. Is there any like arches? Maybe. That seems a little small there. Nice sundial maybe somewhere. Right there. That looks alright. I might try to throw in another tree or two somewhere. Ooh, we can throw the smaller ones in here. Let's just kind of line some of the tracks like this with trees. Just kind of just like that. It's not bad. I've seen some people on here go like crazy with some of how, which is crazy on how detailed they can get with games like this. Alright, so we got that one done. So I think I can throw the lights, stuff like that, and call this area done. Pretty simple, pretty basic, but I quite like it. Raja River is broken down. All right, let's go back here and see what we got. One thing I do like about the Rogue Open RCT2 is that there is an option here called it's refurbish the rides. Makes it like new. So in older games, what you'd have to do is actually go into the construction, break the ride back down, or either take a piece out and put it back in, or delete the ride and put a new one in. In this game, what it do, you can actually just close the ride, get everybody off, it'll refurb the ride, it'll cost you some money. Usually it's not too terribly bad. Excuse me. And then it'll actually bring it back, and then bring it back to 100% reliability. So that's pretty neat. So it looks like they've already got that one fixed, and it's back up and running. Now, if you watch here, kind of the bottom corner here while we work on this, people just start flying in to buy umbrellas because it's already starting to rain. That's kind of a neat thing to do, a neat thing to see, just to help make money for a little bit. But the other kind of downside to this is that people won't want to go on your thrill rides during this time, especially on coasters. I don't know if anybody's actually ridden a coaster in the rain. It's not fun. It feels like you're being hit with needles for the entire ride. But I have done it before, just because you get X amount of time at a park, and then it starts to rain, and they're still operating rides because it's still safe to do so. But people may not want to go on those rides because of the rain, and that's okay. You get to ride more rides just if you can take the rain hitting you. It's pretty nice. Let's put the last few down here. Let's see, we'll put the lights start here. Gonna work my way down. Down, space, down. Go, wrap it back around. If I put the lights in here. And there we go. And then the last set of lights and benches over here. I'll put the trash can there. Alright, so I think we can call this area done. So in about 25 minutes or so, we have one small area done. And we have just about 2,200 people in the park, and our guests we are at max rating. So I'm pretty happy about that. But the problem is, once those advertisements end, we're going to start losing guests again, because advertisements can actually ignore the guest cap. So our guest cap may not be quite at 3,500 yet, but the advertisements can kind of take it over a little bit. So we'll still need to keep building rides, stuff like that. I'm thinking this might be a little too small for really anything too big. But can we purchase any land? We can purchase some land, but we got a lot of land back here. I don't know about that one yet. I think some other areas. This area was kind of a big area back here to work on. But I think I'm going to start working back here. Let's see what kind of rides we have going on. We could do something like a 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea ride. That might be kind of neat. You know what? Let's do that. We'll do a sea or a water ride. Plunk the station down over here. Now, one thing that I've seen is one of the worst things you can do, excuse me, in this game is actually have a boat ride with no track. Amusement parks really operate on efficiencies, and if they do not, if you don't know how long the people are going to be out there, you don't know how long you can actually keep. How long it's going to take them to get back. Therefore, you don't know how many people you can get in a certain hour. So, the best thing you can do is actually build tracks for your either boat rides, your submarine rides, things like that, just so that when you do, so you actually know that it's going to take them 2 minutes to get through this ride. And if each submarine holds 30 people, each... I'm trying to think what we're going to do. I'm trying to think. 30 rides times, let's say you have 10 submarines, that's 300 people. Let's say they can do 10 cycles an hour. So you're 300 people for 10 minutes, and then so 1,800 people an hour. So you actually have a mathematical number that you can go off. And in games like this, it's pretty crucial to do that. Right now we can do 9. Let's do 10 boats. That seems pretty simple here. And then we'll open it up. And then we'll have to build the queue lines. Thinking we're going to go over the rail line. I do know that. And it's... Alright, so I can do that. And then over and down. And there we go. And we'll try to do the same for the exit path here. Do I try to bring it down here? No, I think... Ooh, as we say that the train breaks down, but I'd like to see this area for a nice food area. Well, we have one down here, so maybe I just bring this down a few squares, and bring it down. Roll, and we'll delete one square of fence here. Oh, there we go, and then connect it back up to there. So now we get a full entrance and exit path, and I think with the trees there and the rail line going over, I think I can leave it like that, and it looks just fine. Righty, what do I want to do next? I think let's go ahead and try to make this food court a little bit bigger, just because it's got 3 food stalls and a drink stall. I think we can make it a little bit better. We might lose a few benches, but that's okay too. Plunk down a cotton candy stall, because those are always popular. Delete those 2 things of fence. That is $1. Usually, with prices like this, $1 is usually a good starting point for this. For anything really in this game, from popcorn to burgers, things like that. Pop that up to $1. Let's go ahead and clear those out. We'll put 2 more stalls in there. So we got a drink stall. We got some desserts over here. Do we have like fries maybe? Or we got a fry stall. Plunk that down. $1.50. Pretty good with that price. And then what else? Maybe a hot dog stall. You know what? I take that back. I'm going to put another drink stall in. So we have about 2 of each of everything. 2 drinks, kind of 2 entrees with the pretzels and the burgers, and then a side dish, and maybe a pizza, and then 2 desserts. I think that's a pretty good little area for food. Now, in a normal park, you would actually have, you can actually have places that do burgers and fries and drinks all in one place, but that's okay for this game. I think it works out well still. what's the next thing? I think we might put a couple thrill rides in here. So we'll have to clear some of this land, which is going to be very costly. I think right here, though, I think would be a great little spot. You know, maybe with the River Rapids ride here. Let's see, it's not really themed for like a western area, but I like the wood logs around it. So what I might do is just bring those on back. There we go. Yeah, let's go ahead and bring it on back down this way too, just to kind of help round out this area just a little bit. Right now we got this whole nice little area just for theme, just some nice thrill rides. I might throw a smaller coaster in here, maybe like a Wild Mouse or a like a compact coaster or something like that. So we already got the Magic Carpet ride here. Very nice. They already have a pirate ship somewhere else in the park. And you might think that, you know, it doesn't really matter that they have 201 ride in the park. In this game, it does a little bit because it does take away from both of them. It does increase the guest cap a little bit, but at the same time, it won't. It doesn't have the same effect. So let's do that, and then let's make it, since it's a different area. We'll make it like a nice red path back through here. Like that looks nice. And then we'll just bring that back here. We'll leave this open because if we buy more land, we can always extend this path out and make this another main path back to whatever section we want to go to. Do a 3D cinema, pretty nice. Kind of like an IMAX theater or a what other theaters might be like this? Something like a shows at Disney or something like that would do like a 3D theater like this. I'm just gonna bring that back. We'll also upgrade all of that just to kind of keep it even. Drop a little water here. There we go. Well, I keep forgetting that WSAD is not the correct keys in this game. That looks pretty nice. And then we have we already have a twist in this game. I'm thinking maybe a nice maybe a go-kart track back here. Typically, a park like this probably wouldn't have go-karts. I know the park I used to work at one time actually had a go-kart track. But recently they got rid of it to put in one of their newer coasters. So that was it was nice. I did race on that track a couple times just with some friends. So just like this is a little oval track that they had set up there. Right, so there. Snake the queue line through there. And now, especially with throw lights, we're just kind of focusing on those in this area. I want to plonk down a first aid station just to help keep the sick and stuff like that from this side of the park. And then we'll do our benches like normal and our trash cans. Messed that up, but that's okay. Right, so we'll do that. I think a go-kart track would be kind of fun in here. And again, we'll do a custom one. Excuse me. So we want to set it 2 from this path, because I think this is where we'll put the station at, so we'll put it there. Drag it back. We'll do up, and then we'll go up from here. Curve it, turn around, and then maybe come back down, not all the way. Let's see if we can get a nice design. Now, if you look at the bottom here, it actually does say that I've received an award for the tidiest park in the country. That's one of the easier ones to get, but at the same time, that does give you a little bit of a boost to park attendance, which does help, especially with the goal of trying to get 3,500 people in the park. There we go. So we have a completed go-kart track. This is pretty basic, nothing too fancy, but at the same time, it'll work for what we're doing. 14 carts, open it up. You know what, let's wrap our queue line, because for some reason I've never really understood it in the games like this, but go-karts and you know what, let's go ahead and buy a few pieces of land out here just so that we have enough room for a queue line. But things in this game, go-karts and motion simulators always have crazy long lines. Now I understand that the throughputs are usually kind of bad on these rides, but they always have long lines and always people complain about them. That's the two things that are almost guaranteed in this game, that if you have one of those two rides, people are going to complain and people are going to wait long lines for these rides. Now something you can do to help is to put some TVs. If you ever been to like an amusement park like Cedar Fair's parks, you'll see like these fun TVs around, and essentially that's what those are. So we have those put down here. Let's decorate this up. We'll put some flower beds down here and there. And I'll put some trees in the back just to kind of break it up, just to make it look a little bit more secluded, like the carts are separated from the path a little bit better. Down, let's that tree, one of those, and then on this side I'm actually gonna put a small fence. Now in this game, you know, thankfully go-karts will not jump the track or anything like that. However, it still makes it look a little bit nicer when you actually can put these kind of fencing around, just so that it kind of, you know, sections the ride off and makes it look a little bit more realistic, even though it doesn't really do much for the game itself. I think it looks nice. I'll put the fencing along here, and I'll leave that open just so that now this won't happen, but if maintenance ever had to come in, they could actually walk back here instead of just having to go through the station. It's like that. I think it looks rather nice. Let's plonk down a few smaller, maybe some bushes or trees or something like that in here, just so that looks like it's been filled up. It's taken care of. In a park like this, though, to get like a lawnmower back there might be kind of difficult, so they might just let it grow a little bit and maybe only cut it once or twice a month. Right. That was I do like to hear if you actually once a race is completed, they'll actually show you who won the race, because each guest actually has a name. That's Philip S. That was May K. So yeah, there actually was some really neat features like that in this game. So we'll just sit here I don't mind sitting here for a second and showing you when they actually, when they complete the race, which I think I set it to 3 laps. So yeah, once they complete the 3rd lap, you'll see here the race 1 was Marco D. And one of the, actually, funny enough, there's a cheat code in here, and I can't remember which racer it is, but you put his name in there, and the go-karts will go twice as fast. And if I'm thinking, you put in Mr. Bean, and he goes half as fast as the rest of them. And I think that's just hilarious, and it's just something that doesn't really affect the game. However, it's still kind of fun to watch. Right. So that area is taken care of. Is there really any other thrill rides that I have right this moment where I can just kind of plonk that? Because I think they don't have one of these in the park. So we could plonk this back here maybe. It seems kind of secluded though, because it's kind of back here in this corner. People over here would have to walk back around. But I think, let's go ahead and do it. Make it 120 foot tall. Throw the entrance here and the exit there. well, good to test because this one actually takes a little bit of finicky work. This is a launch one. Depending on the height, you can make sure that you want to get to the very top to kind of get the most amount of thrill out of it. So we can crank it just a little bit more. And that's pretty good. I like to leave a little bit of buffer room just in case the vehicle's a little bit lighter, so it might reach a little bit different height. Something I learned not that long ago is that the people in this game actually have different weights. So depending on their shirt and their pants combination, if you look here, they'll have a little bit different combinations of clothing. Actually depends how much they weigh, which I never would have guessed why that was the case. But I always think that's kind of neat that they actually do incorporate something like that into the game. And then, I mean, this game was made like late 90s, early 2000s, so you got to think that they were thinking about that. What 20 some years ago now? That's pretty neat. Let's put that back up. All right. So I think right now, I think I can call this area done. Just so, kind of like how all this looks. You got a nice, observation tower. You can look over the new set of the park here. The go-kart track's working out really well. But I think we got a couple of things we want to address real quick. So right now we're in the negative, just because we've been building aggressively the past couple of months. I'm trying to think. Your biggest cost is going to be your staff wages, just because they're the ones that are going to, they cost the most. They have the most upkeep for them. But since we've been building rides, we haven't really raised our prices here. So let's go ahead and raise it to 45 and see if we can keep it there. If we can't, we can always change it, adjust here in just a bit. So they'll actually give you a little alert that people are complaining about the price of entrance to your park. So yeah, we can fix that here shortly. So let's go over here. We see what our guests are thinking. Things like this park is pretty clean and tidy. This is kind of a big one. I need to use the bathroom. I feel very sick. You're sick, thirsty, hungry. Train was great. I agree with them totally. Running out of cash. So it seems like they need some bathrooms. They need a place to get money, and a place maybe to get a drink, or maybe try to get rid of their sickness. So let's see where they're kind of complaining about a bathroom. Right back here. In that same area again. He's in the bathroom. Launch free fall coaster. It seems like a lot of them are actually over here. So that's back over there. So it looks like a lot of it's centered around where we were just building. Which is a good thing. That means we can just put one or maybe two down and have this problem at least somewhat taken care of. Let's take out just a little bit more on the loan there, just so we have a little bit of money to play with, so we can fix the problems we have. We'll plonk the bathroom down there. It's free. You can charge for the bathrooms, but I just don't think that's not really inappropriate. But it seems kind of wrong to charge someone for the bathroom when it should be free. That's just me. Let's go ahead and let's look what people are sick at. It's a submarine ride. That's what I figured. It's places over here. Literally a lot of is the submarine ride very nauseating. If you didn't know, you actually can check your stats of the rides right here. You can see that excitement rating. So the excitement rating is how much people really want to go on it. The intensity rating is how intense a ride is. Speed, drops, things like that. If you have a launch coaster, that'll affect it. A nausea rating is how many loops you have in a coaster, or things like negative, positive G's. The submarine ride is probably not the best one to look at if you want to look at that. Let's go over here to, I think this is called the Cobra. Actually gives you the full list. So you can see here, the accelerator rating is really high because it's a pretty fast coaster. Intensity rating is very high because it actually does have 6 inversions. And the nausea rating is kind of high because you go upside down quite a bit. And you have quite a bit of lateral Gs and both positive and negative Gs. So, yeah, that's something you got to think about when you're building these coasters. If that, once you build them, you have to make sure people actually ride them. So yeah, that's kind of a big thing too. So let's look and see where people are still getting sick at, because it seems like that's quite a big. Besides bathroom, people are getting sick quite a bit too. So it seems like maybe over here might not be a worse one either. People are getting sick here. And also another big thing, especially if for people getting sick, you'll see these little piles of sick around the park. That's probably a good indication that you probably need to put a first aid station somewhere around here. Which I think maybe if we cut the hedge off here, we can actually just plunk it down there. We'll put one right there just so that we really don't take up too much more room. And that corner, we really couldn't do much with it anyways. We'll rotate it this way. We'll put our hedges back. Alrighty, so there's that taken care of. We'll get, hopefully a handyman. We'll pick him up and we'll just make sure that he gets cleaned up. Alright. We'll pick him up, and there's some over here as well. We'll get picked up. Alrighty, so let's see if there's anything else. I know we have a couple of areas that we were working on for, nose is starting to itch. Let's see here. Use bathroom. That's still kind of an issue. Let's see. So back here, let's go ahead and put a first aid and bathroom back here just as well, just in case, because there is places like the log flume. There's a couple of bigger throw rides back here as well. So. I always always think it's hilarious because they have this royalty-free music, going through the park, and it's hilarious. Wrong one. I think it's hilarious because it's decent for what I don't know if this has to be a 16-bit game by now. I think it's just hilarious that they do. They have this kind of, and it's this music, and it's still pretty nice. A little bit different than just listening to the merry-go-round music every time. Let's see what else. ATMs. That was the other thing they were complaining about. And I love these things. These weren't in the original game. At least the original Roller Coaster Tycoon. I think they were added for number 2. ATM machines are like one of the biggest things you can get in your park, especially if people are running low on cash right when they come in. Just plonk one down. I don't think it costs them anything to actually get money out, but then they have more money to spend in your park. Right, let's clean this up. Now let's look out for the next area we want to work on. So we have this area done. We got this area done. So about not quite an hour in yet, and we've already got 2 nice sections of the park, and we haven't even hit year 2 yet. I'm thinking maybe back towards here. Back in this area, we actually do our first custom coaster. We might do. I don't know what we're kind of looking at right now. Maybe something like a compact coaster. Do something like a boomerang or something like that. Or maybe even inline twist. They're not the best in the game, but a coaster is a coaster. So I think what we'll do, let's run our path back first. So what do we want to use for the new section here? Let's use a nice, maybe not use green because that usually blends in with the grass. We'll use the black. So we'll just bring the path back from here. Let's clear the trees out too. We'll keep a little bit of woods around that ride just to keep it. I didn't want to do that. But we'll keep it around the ride just so that it kind of gives a little bit more of an exclusion. To kind of think like you're kind of back on a rafting ride. So I kind of like that. So we'll put the new coaster in here. We'll put one of those, the inline twist coasters. We'll do a custom one just to start out with. Do something like this. We'll go, I think, upper transfer. We'll have it come out just a little bit before we do the upper transfer. We'll have it go up a bit, and then we'll have it come down. We'll do our heartline. Ooh, that takes a lot of room up. So what we'll do here, I think this might be a little easier if we go up a little bit with this one and then do the upper transfer. Go up just a little bit more and then drop, and then level it out. Heartline roll to the left. How much room do I need for the lower transfer? I can do one more and do a lower transfer. A lot of coaster design is just trial and error like this. I'd like to do another roll before I get to the end here. So let's back it up just a little bit. Just a little bit of land. We don't need that much, especially since it's just one wide, but we'll just buy a little area just like that. Close it off. And then we can do out. You know what? We'll build it kind of back. We can build it backwards too. That's no big deal. No block breaks, so can't really do block sections in this one. So need to go down just a little bit. Lower transfer. And then we can level it out. And there we go. So we have one complete coaster. I think that works quite well. We'll go ahead and test it. We gotta build the entrance and exit. We'll build that there. Let's test it first to see how it works. I always get kind of nervous, especially when you build custom coasters, because you have no idea if this is going to work or not. I always, wonder if it will. So far, it looks like it's going okay. Then it should go down to a slower transfer. Bam, down. So you're doing a twist. So you get one forward twist and one backward twist. That is pretty good, I think. So we'll look at the stats here. It's kind of a slow ride, only going about 21 miles an hour. Let's see here. Two inversions. The stats are decent, especially for the intensity rating. The excitement rating I'd love to have a little bit higher, but I'm okay with where it's at now. So let's go ahead and do the Q line. Take out just a little bit more load. Over like that. That's all nice in there. We'll open it up. Now, usually, with coasters, I'll actually do a custom name. Let's see, Hardline Twist Coaster. Maybe call it like Flatline. Let's drop line. There we go. And there we have cable quick. Now I have a nice coaster, a decent coaster, good name, and things like that. So that's pretty cool. Let's see here. We just got a couple different rides. We can click on this to see what we got. Rotodrop. A Rotodrop might not be bad back here. It's a smaller thrill ride. Let's see here. Wouldn't let me much for a queue line though. I put it there. Exit path there. We'll put it there. And so this is similar to what the vertical launch thrill ride was, except this time it's kind of the opposite. It actually takes people all the way up to the top and then drops them. We'll just throw it on test mode so you can see that. And I'll open it right away. Now, thankfully, this one you don't have to test because this one, I'll just go to the top, pauses a minute, and then it'll just drop you straight down. Now, I have built one a little too tall before and got this up to almost like 90 miles an hour. No one wanted to ride it, so that was pretty. It was funny, but at the same time, I had to cut it back down so people would actually enjoy the ride themselves. Oh, there, we can take care of that. Now the big question is what to do next. So I'd like to put more thrill rides back here, but I'm running low on thrill rides, which kind of stinks. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut general rides out, which looks like they already have one being developed, which is okay. So we're just trying to get thrill rides in here just to kind of build up our inventory of thrill rides. So right now, we just got another award for the best value park in the country. That's pretty good. Usually that means you're not charging enough for your shops and stalls and your entrance fees, but I think for what we got now, I think we'll be okay. But I think I will boost the price up just a little bit because we have the new coaster in there. I'm half tempted to bring out a couple more mechanics just because we have a lot more rides than we started out with, and it seems like a lot of them are starting to break down, especially the older ones. Now I don't know if, let me look here, this was a ride that was originally with the coaster. You see here the reliability over just a year is already down almost 36%. So we'll have to start maybe even looking into redoing some of the rides here shortly. Grab some water. Now when this game, when the original Roller Coaster Tycoon came out, there was a lot of waiting around, especially if you had already completed the goals, you were just waiting for the last year to end. Thankfully, in this one, we actually can speed up the game just a little bit. So, especially since we're running a little bit low on money, we're looking to build some coasters. We can just kind of boost it real quick. Drill it a little quick. We can try to get some money that way as well. And if we're waiting on new rides, they can come a little bit faster. The only thing we just kind of keep an eye on is down here in the bottom left. We have a rating. The rating tends to kind of jump around quite a bit. That really depends on how many rides you have in your park. If you're building new rides, your ratings like go up and stay up. But if it's been a couple months since you've built a ride, that'll slowly start to come down. I'm running out of water. So I'm hoping to see what this next thrill ride is that's coming out. So let's go ahead and speed up time just a little bit. Swinging Version, that's a pretty decent thrill ride. So we'll go ahead and we can plunk it down here too, just in front of this coaster. And it'll help fill out that area just a little bit better, things like that. So let's grab a handyman because it looks like we've got a little bit of a issue with some debris on the path. See-through scenery. Now I can see here we've already started to accumulate some more throw up on the path here. So we might want to take a look, maybe putting a first aid station back here. It probably wouldn't be the worst idea, just because, especially with the coaster being there, it's probably not going to go away, especially if we put more thrill rides in here as well. And some lights. Let's get this up and going. You know what? I'm going to switch those real quick. If I can hit the right button, I'll switch them real quick. Put the interest there. So I have a little bit more for a queue line coming out of the ride. Plunk it there, and we'll go out and around. Plunk it there. All right. Now, it might be a bad idea to actually make another loop coming back out here and then turning right. And we could put a nice big coaster here. Put maybe another smaller one or maybe a bigger throw ride right here just to help fill in this space here. I also want to put another information kiosk back here. That'll all work. So now people back here who don't have umbrellas can just go there and pick it up instead of just going have to run to the front of the park, and maybe by that time the rain had ended. So make a loop. Maybe back it up just a little bit. Right through there. I think that's where I'm putting. So I'm going to start clearing some trees out here. Too wide. Now we can just run our path through here. Well, if maybe. I'm just gonna walk it back through here. And we'll come back through here with this loop. Just drawing it back up over here. Alrighty, so we got this loop joined back up, so we got this area at least somewhat mapped out already. I think a small coaster back here would be nice. We even put a much larger coaster back here if we can get something like a Giga Coaster or like a floorless coaster, something like that. We can maybe do something in here just to help fill up this area. But let's see what we got coaster wise. Maybe we can put it back here as a smaller one. I'm thinking maybe a stand-up coaster might be kind of cool, just to help fill up the area. These are typically a little bit smaller, just because having to stand up for 4 or 5 minutes is kind of a pain. Yeah, unfortunately, I've never got to ride one of these coasters. There was one nearby at the local amusement park, but unfortunately, it was closed down well before I was around. So we'll go ahead. Kind of a neat tip if you want to make your coasters a little bit more interesting. Instead of actually building them flat on the ground, if you hold shift, you actually can increase or decrease the height of your coaster and actually make a little bit of a drop before you go out of the station. It makes just to make it a little bit more exciting. Gets your coaster moving a little bit faster. Gets things like can get your excitement rating up because you have another drop in your coaster. Always helps quite a bit. So we'll go down, plunk, and then. Now I could kind of a dilemma here. I think I'm going to try to adjust the land just a little bit so that we can round this out a little bit better, and then we can bring it back up. Can we put a photo section? We can. It's something that a lot of people miss is putting photo sections on rides because they actually do make quite a bit of money. especially in ones that you can't charge for the ride. Big coasters like this you can still make money on because people still pay for the photos. So right now we're kind of in a pickle because we're waiting on money to come in and we can't take any more loan out, which kind of stinks, but that's okay. We can just wait here just a couple minutes. You can actually still build in while the game's still going at full speed, which is kind of nice. So let's go ahead, put a loop. Can't quite afford a loop yet, but what we'll do is we'll make it simple. Probably do 2 loops in it, and then we'll just maybe 1 quick helix back up to the station. That's about all. Just a quick, simple coaster. And worst comes to worst, we can always add on to this a little bit later if we want to. Now, if you can imagine, doing this when there was no fast forward, it was kind of a pain in the butt because you just sit here for 20 or 30 minutes just trying to get money, trying to get anything you can to just to make a little bit more money, just so you can complete something that you're working on. Right, and then we can go up. Maybe not. That's the thing, it's like the end of the month hits and you have to pay all your employees, which, makes sense, but that's kind of what we're running into right at this moment. So let me take out any more money? Not quite yet. At least thankfully this one you don't have to worry about park rating. There's some in this game where if park rating gets too low, then the game gives you like 4 or 6 weeks before they shut your park down. So that kind of sucks, but at the same time, usually with those they give you unlimited money too, so you don't have to worry about it, and you just build ride after ride after ride after ride, which is a lot better in my eyes sometimes. Here, let's just to help increase money, let's go ahead and increase in park map cost, and I'll get another janitor over here because it looks like it's got a little worse. Let's go ahead and raise cost on some of the food. This is kind of the big thing in games like this, where you can just raise prices on food, and normally people aren't too upset about it, as long as you don't increase it like outrageously to having $4 or $5 or $6. So yeah, let's go ahead and do that. We'll go ahead and raise everything. And it's not something I really wanted to do, but if we want to keep building like we are, we better. We gotta raise some money for this. $2. Pizzas will make $1.20. It'll make $2.50. What other kind of stalls would we have back here? Something else we really haven't seen in this game yet is vandalism, and unfortunately there's a bench that's been broken there, either by somebody that's upset or angry, or it's just kind of worn out over time. 9 times out of 10 it's usually the vandalism, but it can be the case that it's just worn out. There goes $2. So what I might do back on the stand-up coaster is just try to get enough money to go back to the station and complete the circuit. And well, if I can, there we go. Just to complete the circuit so we can get another ride going. So he's got $70. So we're out of general rides. Let's go for roller coaster rides next, just so that we can. So we're starting to we're starting to run out of research, which is kind of a good thing, but can be kind of bad too. So he's got $80. So what I'm doing right now is looking to see what the lowest price a customer can, or a person can come in with. Right now it looks like it's about $50. And that'll be like the max price you ever want to set your park value to be. Let's see here. He just left. We'll set this best. We already have it up to $50. You can set it a little higher because people like that. He's already bringing $80. Let's see, he's bringing in $60. But the problem is people with only $50 will not be able to get into the park, so you are losing a little bit out. But it seems like most of them are bringing more than $50, so we can probably increase the price just a little bit. I'd be comfortable going with $60, especially since we have 2 ATMs. There's one here and one here, just so that people can get more money right when they come in. You watch this zero. So the first thing he'll do is he'll change from walking. The first thing he'll do is probably need to get, he's running out of cash, so he'll be looking for the cash machine, which is okay with me. So we're getting a little bit more money in. Is there anything else I can try to... I could cut some scenery down, but I'd prefer to keep it up just because it makes the park look a little bit nicer. Up with it. Probably need a bank turn just because of the speed. Just kind of guessing, but it's probably going to be pretty quick coming through here. Bring it out. Pull it out. I know this isn't the most exciting time to wait, but it does happen in games like this where you're just kind of waiting on some money to complete whatever you're working on. Once we get this complete, though, we can try to figure out maybe something we can try to cut costs somewhere. Either way, if you run a couple of people as staff, or we might be able to raise some more prices somewhere. Maybe we left something out or something like that. So once we get this discussion done, we'll take a look at that here in a second. See if maybe the bank will let us. Not yet. So every once in a while they'll actually let you take out a little bit more money just after a while, so they can see that you've paid everything, things like that. Right now that doesn't look like that's the case. I'm looking here. If you look here, we had a huge fall off of revenue. It could very well just be advertisement. And we went from $2,600 to $1,500. It's $1,100 that we're missing. Looks like it's starting to get back up a little bit, just because we did increase the price for this month. Sales are going up pretty good. I'm happy about that. Food and drink sales are going up, but $2,000 in staff wages is quite a bit. That's what kind of worries me just a tiny bit. But even after, but if you look here, we've actually made a little bit of money, so at least we're on the right track to make some money. What we can do, we actually can cut this back just a little bit to normal funding, since we have most of the rides already, and I'm not really too concerned about transport rides or shop installs at this moment. And so we'll cut it back to $200 a month. That means it's going to take twice as long for anything to get to us, but we are getting an extra $200 that we weren't getting last time. Because even here, the loans in this game, I always thought was like the worst thing in the world. But if you look here, it's only costing us to have $20,000 out. It's only costing us $170 a month to keep those out. So I'm not that's not really a huge concern of mine right this second. Staff wages is still kind of a big one that I'm really the most concerned about. What we really need to do is get this coaster built, and then do some advertising just to help get a little more people in the park. We can do some that are like $50 a week that are very simply just things like we have to do 2 weeks, so it's $100. Pretty simple. We can do that, no problem. It doesn't really seem like. Let's see if there's someone we can get rid of. Let's just start. We can get rid of a couple handymen. I didn't really want to have to do this, but these guys are $50 a month. So if we get rid of 6 of them, so that's $300 we're saving there. However, we'll have to keep an eye out on our paths so that make sure they don't get too dirty, things like that. Cool. He's already on top of that. I was going to move him over there, but he was already on it. How many mechanics we have? So mechanics, excuse me. Mechanics cost us about $80 a month. So let's get rid of a couple of those. We'll go down to 10. Won't fire anybody that's working on something right now. So hopefully that'll cut down some staff wages. There we go. We'll speed this back up. Just try to get money back in. Let's change that to a. Just looking, we're already getting complaints that we don't have enough handymen, which is what I'm afraid of. But at the same time, we're just kind of running low on money, so that was kind of the easiest thing to cut really quick. Got that cash machine, first aid, information, restrooms. It's tempting to take some of the scenery out just so we can try to get back up and running where we were. Because you can see here, each one of these pieces of scenery is just. Let's go ahead and get rid of this one, just so that we can get some money coming back in. Now, in some games, like there's another scenario called Factory Capers. That one is actually recommended you tear down the factory first, and all the paths. You can get an extra $5,000 or $6,000 just from doing that. So we can just try to finish this off real quick and simple. There we go. We can place down our entrance and exit. Entrance there, exit there, and then I'd like to. All right, so we're running 2 trains. Let's test it real quick while we build the entrance and exit path. Run there. And then. Alright, so there we got that taken care of. Oh, it just barely makes that loop. That's kind of a concern because. Alright, so what we're going to do, we're going to modify the ride. We have just a tiny bit of money, so what we can do, modify the ride just a little bit. Still want to keep that turn in there, though, so we'll kick it up to 50 feet. Down, and then hopefully we have the money to turn. And then we'll make the loop, or make the drop there. We'll have to do a little bit of a funky drop, but we can do that. Let's go this way. Let's rotate the camera around so we can see what we're doing. 5 foot, 0 foot, and then we'll do the brake photo, or the photo section there, and this we complete the circuit again. We raise the drop up by 10, a good 10 feet, so that should give us some, a little bit more speed. Try to get through that loop. There, it makes it through no problem now. So I'm happy with that. So what we'll do, we'll set this up. We'll open it up. Let's see here. We continue circuit. I think how I want to do this. Because I was a little concerned on how close they were together like that, but I think I think it was just for testing. I think we're okay there. Let's go ahead and increase the minimum wait time to maybe 19 or 20 seconds, because the whole ride's only 57 seconds. So, and most that's going to be the hill. So if we increase the minimum wait time, we might be able to get a little bit more separation, so it's a little safer. Because crashes can happen in this game. I've had a couple coasters rear-end each other, and people have gotten injured and killed, which is not a good thing for your park. But I do need a name for this coaster, and I don't know what to name it quite yet. I'll have to come back to that one, because I'm not sure what I want to name it yet. Since now, let's look at some of our finances again to see maybe if we can improve on anything, maybe try to make a little bit more money. I do think we need to do some advertising here shortly. I just try to get, because we're already looking here, we got we're losing guests in the park. It could just be because of the park rating as well. Our park rating has plummeted. So let's see where the guests are complaining about litter. Tiny cash. I see here people aren't going to start paying for drinks. That kind of stinks, but at the same time, a lot of people are still paying for them. There's not a lot of people. Let's see where that's at. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're actually going to put a handyman back here, because it looks like it's getting kind of bad up here. So we're going to put him on kind of an assigned route around this loop here. And then we'll have him do that. Something else that's kind of new for this mod, or this kind of addition to Roller Coaster Tycoon, is this little thing here. It's actually, it says, let's see if I can highlight path issues. So actually, we'll kind of cut away everything but what's on the path here. And you can tell right now there's a lot of vandalism up in here. So what we're going to do is we're going ahead and try to replace all the benches, stuff like that. We can get that taken care of. And you can see this gets... That's a weird sound for the merry-go-round. Hold on 1 second here. Oh, it's going out of control. That's why. That's not good. Good. So, got it back under control, but I'm sitting here, I'm listening to it, and you can tell kind of just different variations, especially if you play this a lot. You can tell that something wasn't quite right. And I've had that where they start spinning so much that it starts breaking apart and actually injures and kills the riders on board, which is not a very good thing. But you know, it does happen every once in a while. I haven't had it happen in a while, but you know, still happens. Let's get these back going over here. The trash cans being full might have been some of the issues that we were having as well, especially with all this litter. So we got this. You see, there's one overflowing that I can't replace. It's one of the handymen will have to just walk over and fix that. That's no big deal, though. And you see here, especially with all this litter around, people are getting more and more upset. So let's go ahead and I know these guys are assigned to a location, but we are going to just to plunk them down over here, just try to get this path or get these paths back in order. I really don't know why they were getting this bad either. I know they were we had to take a few handymen out just because. Running low on money again, just because we were running low on money, but I don't think this would be a huge. It wouldn't have gotten this bad this quick, but so let's see here. We got some money again, so we'll see. Keep replacing stuff. So it's starting to get a little bit better. Our park rating's starting to come up just a little bit. And that'll help kind of curb any vandalism or anything like that. Still not perfect, but it's getting to the point where we're getting better. So it took us a little bit, but we got it at least somewhat back under control. Let's kind of look. Let's just take a fly through real quick to see where some issues might be. Every once in a while, we'll see a little bit of garbage or some throw up around here. It's not terrible. I mean, it wasn't as bad as what we were at. Let's take this guy here. Nope. Yeah, I was afraid this part was going to get kind of bad back here as well, so let's have him go that way while I send this guy going this way. So a first aid station may not be the worst thing back here in the world. Oh, well, I can... Go. Put that down. So we're going to do some advertising really quick. Let's do half price entry to the park so we at least have some money still coming in. There we go. So we got another award. Always a good thing to have. Let's get him down here. Let's get some more of this taken care of. There he is. It's a little more micromanaging than I preferred it to have, but hopefully we can get this solved sooner rather than later. So I think while these guys are working, we're going to use the restroom real quick, so I will be right back here in a couple minutes. Alrighty, I am back with some more water. Let's see here. So it looks like we actually got some money while I was gone. Which is awesome because we can do a little bit of stuff here now with this. If I just didn't hit every button on here. Let's go ahead, since we're into year 3 already, let's run some advertisements. Just to help get that going again. Let's see what we got here. We get $600. We'll do free pizzas. Awesome thing to have. And then we can't do this one for very long, so we'll do the new stand-up coaster. Do it for 4 weeks. Then we'll get back. Let's see if we can fix some of the more path issues. Still having problems with some vandalism around here. Let's go ahead, plunk those down. It's full, so I can't fix that one right away. Oh, this area is getting real bad. Let's start fixing this up. So, did I put a first and foremost? Did I put a first aid station over here? Would be a good thing to find out. Did put a first aid. You know what? Let's put another first aid station in down here then, just so that what else I'm going to do? I'm going to look at clearing all the so why just cancel patrol area. So now, so originally when this game starts, they have a patrol area, and in real amusement parks they actually do have these, or different areas they stay in. However, I'm going to try to cancel them all, so they'll wander around the park a little bit more, and the parts, or the areas that I have a lot of issues with, I can reassign them to there. Cancel there. Cancel. I don't think this feature was in the original game either. I think you actually had to go through and select each and every one of them. So, all right. All right, cancel, and the last one. All right, let's highlight the selected path again. So this area is still having a lot of issues, so what I'm going to do is I want to set up a route here just to help patrol this area. This guy, I'll have him walk around this. And I wanted to break it up just a little bit more than I probably usually would. I would probably have this area, something like this, as one handyman. But since we're having so many issues with this stuff, I'm just going to put 2 on it. I probably should look into building a new ride here soon too, just in case, or just to help with the rating. It'll give it a pretty good boost, anyways. It's a full trash can. That one's broken. All right, now let's look over here. Oh my god! All right, let's start setting these guys up around here. Right there, I think will be a good set for one person. And then I will set the next person up over here on this path. I'm going to go through that queue line as well, and then just probably down here, that'll be his route. Now, since it's a shorter route, hopefully he'll be able to cover that a lot quicker to keep that place clean. But who knows, really. So I have him clean up that area. We really don't need to have someone just in that area. Let's see, handyman number 5. Let's pull him over here. We'll have him overlap just a little bit just to help. That way, if one guy's on the other side of the park, there's a piece of trash or something like that, we can get that cleaned up a lot faster. Now, this is one part of when I worked for Cedar Fair. I didn't do handyman stuff, or we always call them park sweeps. That was not mine. I was more merchandise and food service. So those two I know pretty well. Let's see here. So look at this. Already this area looks a lot better. There's still some full trash cans which we can fix pretty quick. I think that's his route. So he'll walk down there and fix all those. If you notice, our rating is starting to go back up. We're already back over 500 again, which is awesome. But we still have a little bit to go. We were at maxing out at 999. So let's go ahead and mark his route out. We'll make him go down to that bridge. It's a good separation point. Trying to look at other problem areas. Really, that was kind of the areas I built were kind of the problem areas. But that's okay. Looks like we might have a little bit of an area over here that could use at least a route on it. Make him go to there and up to there. A little bit of an issue over here as well. Now, I always like having a couple of handymen just walking around, or just kind of roaming, as something they would say. Just so that if I miss something on a path or something like that, they can really just kind of pick up the slack there. Let's go ahead and get him assigned to this area. Take care of all that. I think I'm okay with that. I'll assign one more handyman over here just to cover this side. And overlap just a little bit with the last guy. And there we go. So hopefully now a lot of this will be taken care of. A lot of full trash cans around here. I might just put a handyman. Do I have a handyman? I do. I think it's this guy. Let's go ahead and have him do trash cans because they're kind of full. Boom, there. But if you notice now that our money's starting to go up a lot easier since we have the advertisements going, our park rating is starting to go up really dramatically. So hopefully with just a little bit more time, we can get back to building stuff so that we can get this one taken care of. Because that is my goal. I want to try to at least get this scenario done and maybe just try to fill out the park for this stream. Nothing too crazy. This is kind of the first stream that I've done kind of like this. So, yeah, I think we just do this one park. We kind of really focus on it, hit it hard. I think it'll be quite fun. So let's get this food service area taken care of, and then we will move on. Maybe try to build that second coaster in there that was in the bigger area. We might need a little bit more money before we try something like that, but we'll give it a try. Get that plunked down. Oh, so I was trying to figure out why a handyman would be heading to a lemonade stall, but I actually clicked on a guest. Never mind. So it looks like we've gotten a lot of this taken care of. Guests are starting to come back. I'm happy where there's not too many issues now. It's kind of one of those things where if your rating's low, people don't take care of your park. The workers still take care of your park as best they can, but guests are more likely to cause vandalism. They're more likely to throw things on the ground. They're more likely to just not really care as much as they would if the park rating was a lot higher. Something else you can do, excuse me. Something else you can do is actually hire security guards that help patrol your park and help stop vandalism. However, since we're still kind of running a little low on money, I'm kind of shying away from that for right now and just trying to keep the park rating up. So let's go ahead and start advertising again. We'll do the big ones now. We can do do particular ride again. We'll do Cobra, since it's a neat little looping coaster. We'll do the 12 weeks. We actually are starting to have the money again. We'll do that for 4 weeks. That's just generically for the park. And then so we have advertisements at least running for a good solid 4 weeks. And then we have some that are going out to 12 weeks. And that's really what I wanted to see. Now, a floorless twist coaster might be a neat idea to put back here. Or a steel twister. I might do a steel twister. Now, before we do that, I kind of wanted to show you something real quick that I have seen. If you're really just trying to complete this game, like I have been recently, you actually can build a coaster. It's a corkscrew coaster, and it's called... Maybe I don't have it saved yet. Oh, here it is. I just called it Small. Now, this coaster doesn't look like much, and really it isn't. It costs usually about $300 to build. But this will actually help increase that soft gap we were talking about earlier by about 100 people for everyone you build. And since they're only $300, you can really spam 10 or 12 of these out and have the soft guest cap taken care of. I didn't really want to do that for this series. I wanted to try to see if I can just get it naturally, get the part guest cap up. But I think for right now, to make sure we can get the goal, we can keep our rating up, I am going to build just a little section of them right back here. And these are pretty simple. I learned this from somebody off of YouTube, and his name escapes me right now. But he does a lot of Roller Coaster Tycoon 2 videos like this, and you'll see right away that this is his design. So I have no problem giving him the credit for it, because it's helped me through a couple scenarios like this. And it's real simple. It's 2 station pieces with a corkscrew and then 1/2 corkscrew on the end of it. So that's all it is. And then I think it's on the power launch. Let me look here. I believe it's on the power launch option without passing the station. If you put it passing through the station, it's going to fly out the back here and hit whatever's behind it. So this is the slowest speed to go. Right now it's just at 22 miles an hour. It'll shoot out, do the half loop, and then come back. That's all it is. And now we can span those out and raise our soft guest cap by, 50 or 60 or or not 50 or 60, 100 for every one we do. So let me go ahead and just plunk a few of these down. This will also help get more and more guests in along with the advertisement. The reason I didn't want to do it this way is that I feel it's kind of cheaty, do it this way, because at least how I feel, it's a little cheating. That because you're just spamming out with small coasters that it wouldn't really build up enough people. But at the same time, some of these scenarios, are rather difficult. That's not what I wanted to do. There's one that it took me 3 or 4 tries to actually get it done before I started using this method. That you couldn't build coasters above the height of the trees, which is only like 30 or 40 feet. But this coaster you can still put in there because it's a relatively small coaster. And this is the only way I actually found to beat that level. So right now let's say these 101, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll throw maybe 3 or 4 more down just to make sure that we're well over, or because that should be 1,000 people. We've been hovering around 2,600, so I think that should at least get us to where we need to go. Then we can actually have some fun and hopefully not have to worry about that, at least that part of the goal. Open it up. We'll still drag this out here. Might have to go in, actually. PGMW, I probably am. Thank you for stopping by, though. I do appreciate it. I am probably talking about him. I know he's been, I know he does it quite a lot. I learned a lot from him, especially about how some of these scenarios work. But yeah, thanks for stopping by. Something maybe a little bit better so I can see it a little better. Sorry, I'm just trying to set up my phone so I can read the chat a little bit better. There we go. Plunk this last one down here. I think 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That should be 900 people. If we start getting a little desperate, I can plunk another 1 or 2 down. And let's put a first aid station back here because these rides, for some reason, love to be ones that people get sick on. It's because, I mean, even though the nausea rate is actually relatively low. There we go. We'll also assign a handyman back here just in case. Yeah, the Marcus Voss actually is pretty good at what he does. And I always like, looking stuff up like this. It seems like recently I've been wanting to go back to games that I've played in my childhood or played, 10 or 12 years ago, and just to see how much I actually remember and if it kind of met what I remember. And this is one of the games I absolutely love. It's games like this and games like Mech Warrior. When I was growing up, I had Mech Warrior 3 playing. I played that constantly with this. I'm trying to think of what other games I had. Of course, I've been doing this forever, it seems like. My dad got me into playing video games when I was real young. He always had one computer that I could just goof off on. And he taught me how to, use mouse and keyboard and stuff like that. And then eventually, when I got old enough, I built my own computers and started doing this myself. Funny enough, I remember you're talking about expansion packs. The original disc I had for Roller Coaster Tycoon broke, and so we actually figured out how to make a backup copy for it. So I had that, and then I remember going to, he used to work for an electronics store. I remember walking in there and buying Loopy Landscapes on disc, and I still have that somewhere up on my shelves. Same with Roller Coaster Tycoon 2 and 3. I had bought all of them. So yeah, that was pretty cool. See, I saw them on mobile. I don't know how mobile will be. I know these games don't take too much on or not too hard on a computer. I just kind of wary on some mobile games on how they perform. Broke down. Yeah, I just. You play them so much, and I realized when I started coming back to these games that I had never actually beaten most of this game or seen some of the parks. There's one that I saw for the first time like maybe 2 weeks ago, and it was a Japanese one when they come with Wacky Worlds, which was a fun expansion when this originally came out. Funny enough, I got a copy back from Intro Gamer, which was funny enough to like, oh, that's pretty neat. When I first got these games, I was just like, all right. My dad, he was walking in the background a little bit ago. He was commenting to me earlier when I said I was playing this game. He goes, you remember you used to make people puke as much as you could back in the day, and it was true. And it was before we got before there was first aid stands. They would actually have. They would, the only way they could get unsick was either to get sick themselves or throw up on the path. And so I would just try to see how big of a coaster I could build just so that they would get as sick as much as they could. Yeah, and honestly, Roller Coaster Tycoon Roller Coaster Tycoon 2 did a lot for this game, but I think the open RCT really makes it to where it adds more, I think, quality of life features that just makes this game a heck of a lot easier to play, and actually adds a lot of things that that maybe should have been in the game, but they just didn't think about. see here. Oh, this is the twist coaster, so we can we can do the loops. Yeah, the vandalism tool is probably one of the nicest features I've ever seen. I was watching somebody and I saw them using it, and I thought they were going crazy for a second, and then I saw them use it, and I was almost speechless when I saw it the first time. Like, all right, well, that's probably too big. I was like, it was incredible, and I've used it ever since. So let's do a double loop here. And then you want let's do a little path interaction with this one. So if you don't know what that is, a lot of times in amusement parks will actually try to plan to build a coaster, like a big feature next to a path, just so that people will actually watch it, and sometimes they get a little more excited for the ride that way too. Do I have? Actually, I'm going to do the corkscrew first. What was the online feature? I don't know about the online feature. What is that? I'm kind of curious to know about that. Left, and then we'll do the half loop down. I'll have to, I'm gonna maybe try to bury this one just a little bit. Maybe not. Let's go ahead and go up. Oh, really? So it's like a multiplayer style of Roller Coaster Tycoon. So for those you listening to this a little later, PGMW is talking about an online mode for this game, which actually might be kind of fun. I don't know if I know anybody else that plays this game currently. I've known a couple people who used to play it. But yeah, that actually might be kind of fun to do sometime, just to see maybe if to see how fast you could build one, or maybe even have like a build off where you get like a quarter of the map to each person and just have unlimited money to see who can either make the most thrilling coaster or the longest or the most themed. That might be kind of fun to do maybe one day. All right, let's get back to this coaster. So what I've done was I've just kind of built a kind of simple layout so far. Chain hill, 2 loops, and then I've done what they call a Cobra Roll, which is a half loop, a corkscrew, a second corkscrew, and another half loop. It's kind of a fun one to do. A lot of coasters, if you go look at them, will use that style of, I guess, some people call it a cutback or a feature. It's a real simple one to do, especially in these games, and I quite like it because it does add foreign versions, and it still gives the guest, it's still quite intense, and it's pretty simple to build too. I was trying to build one that we always called it the butterfly, which is kind of the opposite of that, where you do the corkscrew, then the half loop, level it out, another half loop, and then you corkscrew it back in. It's a little bit tighter. One of my favorite coasters that they recently tore down was had one of those as its feature, and I quite like those as well, and they're a little more unique than the one there. So we got that. What else can we do with these coasters? So we can do vertical loop, we can do helix. We can do a barrel roll. So let's try that. Maybe do a nice helix. We'll do a bunny hop. If you don't know if people don't know what a bunny hop is just it's just a hill, usually maybe mid to end of the coaster, where they just try to get you up out of your seat. They actually create negative G's, which is pretty neat. A lot of times older roller coasters, especially wooden coasters, will do those a lot. A little less common in newer coasters, unless you're going for a giga coaster. The giga coasters will usually have those because that's kind of what they're built around. So we're going to see if maybe the large helix might fit a little bit better. And we're also talking about path interaction. So here you can actually see the coaster gets pretty close to the path here. And then actually, if you were actually at a park like this, you actually be this close to a coaster, they would usually probably have either some wall or netting around here just to keep things from flying off the coaster from hitting you. But that's actually a great thing to do in these parks. It makes it a little bit more realistic. People actually stand here. You can see these people here and actually watch the coaster. Even when you're still building it, people love to watch things being built. That was kind of, I always think it's a neat feature to actually see people, invested into something that, something like that. So we'll put the block brakes here and into the station here. All right, let's plonk down the entrance and exit. Just gonna snake this back around here. All right, let's go ahead. That's not what I wanted to do. I've had enough coasters crash to know that it's best to test it with just one coaster for now. I remember not too long ago, I had a coaster, something similar to this, where they were, I had tested it, I had different block sections, and with 3 different trains, I got stuck in 3 different locations. So that coaster took me a while to actually get working correctly. Oh, really? So I mean, I need to find out more features like that. I know something like that. They have something like that in Planet Coaster. I do play that one quite a bit too, where they actually have like a ghost train where they you can send it around the track. It'll give you all your stats and everything. But even if the track isn't complete, you can still see it. So it looks like the coaster is doing decently at least. Time's a little short, and so is the length, but I'm okay with that. I don't mind that. Just 2,300 feet, just over a minute. That's a decent speed. We'll see what the stats are really quick. But I think what we'll do, we'll close it, throw at least one more train on there, and we'll open it back up. So yeah, it actually is a good, decent coaster, good excitement rating, good intensity rating, and the nausea rating is actually kind of low, which I'm actually kind of shocked at, but still. So I need to name coasters. I got 2 coasters that I don't have names for. I need to name. I'll always love how they come up with names for coasters. We'll make it floorless too, just for the fun of it. So floorless, what can we call this? Floorless coaster. It's I think this is usually a tougher decision to make than actually building the coaster, is actually what to name it. I'm gonna call it floored. FL. Let's see. Apostrophe D. There we go. Floored. It's not a bad name for it. Stand-up coaster. I still don't have one. Still complaining about litter, so let's see what we got here. It seems like always those around the since we're making a little money, I'm gonna hire a couple more staff. But it seems like around this food service area, they love just to either throw up or throw their trash on the ground, which unfortunately they do. It does happen in real life too. Solid way to do that. Usually I actually try to think of a name kind of in the back of my mind when I'm building something like this, or name it after something kind of historical. Well, the coaster that I was referring to earlier, that before my time, that was the park I worked at, was called the Screaming Demon. It was a stand-up coaster that something similar to that. However, I think I actually had 2 loops in it. I could be wrong. I was not there, unfortunately. I would have rode it, but yeah, I have gotten to rode quite a few different coasters, different types and stuff like that as well. So, yeah. Got that one taken care of. I think this area looks bland, but the issue is, especially with a big coaster like this, it's going to be kind of bland. I'll put some fencing up, as what is to refer to the industry as "don't die" fencing, because that's what it's there for, so you don't die. Just kind of plonk these around. I kind of like this iron fence because it looks a little more, you know, a little more beefy than some of the other fences around. Plug it around here and here. Now, when I worked for Cedar Fair, I never worked in rides, but some of the locations I worked was either at the exit of rides or were underneath some of the major lift hills like that. And so we had to learn, somewhat about how these operated, and if we see something happen, we had to report it and how to report it and things like that. I remember we had a stock room. Now, when I worked in food service, that was underneath a major hill for a coaster, and there was a line that we could walk there without a hard hat or anything to get our stuff. But if we crossed that line, we had to inform the ride personnel, and then they essentially had to shut down the ride. We never had to do that, but we had to have a couple. Sometimes there were people out there who had to go retrieve something or make sure the coaster was working properly, things like that. They would walk out there. A lot of maintenance people. But yeah, we had a line, and it was just like a black line that says "Do not cross," all the way down our path. I remember that place was fun to work. That was my second or third year at there. So I used to work. That was when I was in food service. I used to serve potato. I was the assistant supervisor to what they called Potato Works. And I used to cut potatoes all day. It doesn't seem like a glamorous job, but it was fun. I did that for, I was only supervisor there for about a year, but still fun. So we have our "don't die" fencing all the way around the coaster. Kind of helps keep the border broken up around here. Let's run some advertisements. I think advertisements are out. So let's restart those again. We have about another year or so before we have to have about 600 more people in the park. We'll offer free ice cream because it is October. I don't know why ice cream in October sounds good, but it works just as well. You know what? We'll do floored because it's our new coaster. It's probably the most exciting. We'll advertise for that as well. So after we spend half of our money on advertisements, we can go look into the next section here. Now I think I'm starting to get back here. It's a little more sparse, a lot more wooded. I might try to. We had a couple of maybe some gentle rides we could throw in here. Like a circus, maybe have a show area, have some flying saucers. Let's go ahead and plonk those down, just maybe over here real quick. And before we do anything else, I want to stop this music because it's driving me crazy. There we go. And that'll be good enough to clear out. You're right, it is. I will probably fix that for next time. I probably will end up doing this probably next Tuesday as well. I do stream Tuesdays and Thursdays. This Thursday, though, we are going to... there's a new update to Grand Theft Auto I'd like to try out. But yeah, I think for next time, I can probably edit the overlays. That's no big deal. That's a quick fix. Hey, no, I really do appreciate it. This is literally the first stream I have done at all. So I figured I'd try something something I knew really well, but something maybe I haven't tried before in this game. So I do appreciate the feedback. And I do appreciate you stopping by as well. Even though it's the first stream, it's nice to actually have, being able to actually, talk to people and see how things are going. And I haven't built a bathroom in a while, so let's go ahead and build a bathroom back here. Right. Hey, it's like that's how I started out. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to start out doing something. First one I want to do is something familiar, which I've thought about doing this kind of as a theme, where all my Tuesday streams will be older games, Roller Coaster Tycoon. I've looked into doing games like Bard's Tale, which is where my username Friar Obi comes from. I've never played that game, but I think it'd be kind of interesting one to play, as well as games like... I'm blanking out now. I thought of them and I blanked out. But yeah, just kind of older games. Colonization, Sid Meier's Colonization, I played quite a bit too. My dad showed me how to play that one, and I have it on Steam. So I think that'd be kind of a fun game to play as well. Kind of like a Throwback Tuesday or a Throwback Thursday on a Tuesday. So I think it'd be kind of fun. So that's kind of the plan for right now. Do stuff like that. Throw the jelly copters in here. So yeah, it'd be great to if you come out, maybe we could play some more games like that too. Right. So we're starting to get close to that the guest limit, which is awesome. Well, all right, PGMW. I do appreciate the follow there. I do appreciate it. Yeah, that's kind of the idea right now. Is the Throwback Tuesdays and then a little more modern games on Thursdays. Especially just now starting out, I can just at least have games that I know to start out with. But yeah, I do appreciate the follow though. Now, so here's the part I'm getting kind of, getting kind of iffy about, because I'm running out of rides to build. Then I actually start building more custom rides, like coasters, stuff like that, but that's no big deal. I'm wondering if I could even kind of incorporate the jellycopters more into the Space Rings ride. Don't quite know, but we'll see here. Maybe we'll, instead of doing that, let's put a small food court right back in here, just because we have the room, and this would be a good place to put one, since there's a couple of small food areas here, but there's nothing really major. So let's go ahead and throw one of these in there. I'm going to leave a space, because I actually saw this trick that I wanted to pull out here. That's actually a neat way to add, looks like some more seating area for a food service area like this without actually losing any benches. So let's get all these set up here. Well, I hit the wrong button. Got a nice quick shot of my background there. It's great. That's not what I wanted to do. Let me put the fence down first. So this is also a little trick I learned from them. What you do is you actually place down a path or a fence along a path here, and then you bring your path up, and then when you clear the path back, it leaves the path broken here, and so you can plonk down things like your trash cans on either side and benches that your people can sit at, and so you can do this for the entire thing here and actually have trash cans and benches like that readily available for your people. There's still a bit of roller coasters. Then we can boost that back up to max funding now. I even broke my... It's like, I said I was going to do something and then completely forgot to do it. Alright, let's move everything back just by one. Here, we'll clear this out. There we go. Now I've got this nice path in the middle here that I can put my benches and my trash cans. Put some more benches down here. Trash cans. There we go. And then we put a couple more stalls there, and we have great coverage for seating, and we also have trash cans and lights and stuff like that. And it makes I think it looks kind of nice, especially for the games like this where we didn't have things like tables or something like that they could sit at, which I thought that was kind of a missed thing. I wish I could have seen something like that. It would have been kind of neat. But that's okay, you know. You can't think of everything all at once. And that's why I like playing games like Planet Coaster, where you can be a little more creative like that. I always felt like Planet Coaster was more of a creative game rather than a management game. And so that's why I like playing this game a little bit better, because it feels more, you can manage better this game than you can Planet Coaster. Although I do like both still. So we're getting close to the goal. The rating's what I'm kind of concerned about right this second. We could plunk down maybe a real small, like a boomerang style coaster here, kind of like Cobra is. Maybe do an inverted one. Or, you know what, let's do an impulse. An impulse coaster is usually a pretty good one to put down. They're relatively small in their footprint, and usually they're pretty high intensity too, so people will tend to ride them pretty often. I see a lot of things not getting fixed, so let's go ahead and hire 4 more mechanics just in case, get those rides back to operating standards. We might actually want to look at maybe look at the reliability and see maybe we need to rehab some of my coast or rehab some of the rides. It looks like I might need to. So let's go ahead and close. This is one of the greatest features I think for me personally is the rehab button here. You just refurbish the ride, goes back to 100%, and reopen it back up. Yeah, let me say, yeah, I noticed that when I um, when there's a couple of new operation modes with OpenRCT, but yeah, there's a lot more modes it seems like you can do, and it'll make them a little more custom. You can actually do a little more creative stuff with some of the coasters. I will go ahead and close Cobra down. And then we'll rehab it, and then reopen it. Close this one down. Speed this up just a little bit so we can get people out of the ride. Yeah, it's like, yeah, you just hit that. It's a little more realistic, and I kind of like that to where you have to close the ride down, then it'll empty all the people out of it, and once it did, you can actually just hit the rehab button. And then it actually pretty much brings the coaster back up to 100% reliability without you having to do anything else. I think I do wonder how much they got that from like Planet Coaster or something like that. They do have something like that where you actually can refurb a ride and it's down for a little bit and then it comes back. I don't know. I don't know when OpenRCT2 came out and Planet Coaster came out. But yeah, that was one of the features that I absolutely loved from the OpenRCT2 catalog. Drop. Let's go ahead and close the rotor drop as well, because usually I like to keep everything above at least 50% reliability. Usually after that, it just starts breaking down every 5 or so minutes. So let's go ahead and rehab that one. This one I'm a little concerned about because it is a huge coaster. Let's close it down. We'll have to wait for that last train to go through. That's okay. And also, I loved it when, like, if the park is open, but or if the coaster is open and you close it, it'll actually tell you how many people are still on the ride. But I'm pretty sure it was just that train that was, yeah. So now we go ahead and rehab it, and it's back to 100% now. We can reopen it with no problems. Now, I'm not too concerned about the guests now, but I am concerned about how many, kind of the rating. So let's try to see if we can get a few more handymen going here. Do we have any for this location? We don't. Alright, so that makes sense why we're having some issues. So let's go ahead and plug him down, and we'll go ahead and just kind of coat this area with him. We'll just pull a couple more handymen over here just in case. Yeah, and I've noticed maybe this is because I have a little bit different version, a little bit older version, or a newer version of Roller Coaster Tycoon 2. They actually did have some of the parks are still locked. That you actually have to complete one and then unlock one more. Maybe that's just my version of it. But yeah, I did like that, and that's why I said I keep finding new parks that I have never seen before because of the fact that I just never was good enough to actually unlock them. I can see why they say that we have some issues with the disgusting paths, which happens. So let's go again and get a couple. You know, I'm gonna probably put a third handyman over here just to help out with these paths. I'll pull a couple more people over here. Since we're getting towards the end of the scenario, what I really didn't like about it is that in the original Roller Coaster Tycoon, you actually, even if you got to like if you got the goal like in March or April, you had to wait till the end of the year before it would actually look for it. But in Open RCT2, it actually does check every month, and that's amazing because then you finish there is a lot quicker that way. But almost at the rate we're at, we might actually have to wait until October to get to it. But hopefully that won't be the case. Really, we're just waiting on the rating, which we're almost there now. Okay, yeah. Oh, there we go. Yay! So, yeah, just a quick path cleanup, and we got it done. Put my name in there. There we go. And then, since I only have about a half hour left of the stream, I think what I'll do is I'll just continue to work on this park, fill it out a little bit more, especially towards the back here. We haven't really touched that area. I've also thought about maybe actually revamping the train just a little bit. Usually that's the one thing I did when I started playing this eons ago, is I would actually modify the train to put a station here, a station somewhere around here, and then extend this station out a little bit. So oh, really? I didn't know the fast forward was in the remake. See, I had the original game, and then I had number 2, and that was it. And then when I got to Open RCT2, is kind of the next step. So, yeah, so that was kind of how I got the game. See, let's look at the popularity of the train here. Popularity, sort. Six Flags Express is what I'm looking for. So it's still 100%. I just think we could probably move more people. With just we extend the stations out just a little bit. Here's a little tricky. We can probably cut this corner out, send the station, and then do a tight turn. So let's go ahead and close this right here. Edit this track. And then I think that's all we can do there. And then, so that's what, an extra 2 there. So that's at least 2 more cars we can build in there. So let's take it over here. Build 2 more. We'll turn it. I hate having to do this backwards because I always get the turns always confused. So let's do this. And then we turn it back. And there we go. So that should be at least 3 trains. It's open for more than that, but I guess I can still I'd be okay with 4 trains. And let's do different colors per train, just because I like to kind of vary it up. Kind of like the park I used to work at. They had one train that was red, one train that was blue, and you knew which one was coming. It was pretty neat. I actually, when I was working in merchandise, one of my former associates actually went and managed the train for a while, so I used to be back there quite a bit. That'll work. Maybe not that bright of a color. We'll do maybe a light pink. One other thing I forgot. I want to see if this still works. Because right here we have to have the path going over the train tracks. In one of the scenarios that has a train, if I'm not mistaken, you actually can just build a grade crossing, and there, so we don't have to go over the path. And I completely forgot about that. People actually will stop while the train passes, and then they'll continue when they're walking. You know, I thought that was the neatest feature. I didn't know that happened. But yeah, that is. I don't know why. It's just a small thing, but. Oh really? I didn't. I guess I just need to figure out some of the new features then. But I just think that's neat. I do wish there was like some crossing gates you could have, or at least like security that would stop there, so they would stop people from crossing when the train was in front of it. But other than that, I think it's kind of a neat feature. Boy, get rid of this little piece of. There we go. And of course, we get the ride back open and it breaks down right away. So instead of worrying about reliability, I think we're just going to build for a little bit, just so that we can build maybe at least 1 or 2 more coasters before the end of the stream. Let's see here. What else? Well, you know, a bobsled. I haven't really built a bobsled coaster in a while, so let's try to build one of those. Bobsled coaster and I have not had the best history in the world, because usually I build them too fast and they'll crash. It does happen. Yeah, they do stop. I just kind of wish they had like something there to actually physically look like it's stopping them. But yeah, I mean I'm okay with just them stopping too. Yeah, it's like that is true. I actually have that as well. Yeah, it'd be kind of nice to have that, and it's a small thing. It's not like it's a big complaint at all. Funny enough, Planet Coaster doesn't have it either, which I thought was kind of funny. When I first played that. Still a little wary about how this is going to work. It's been a little bit since I built a bobsled. It should be fine, but, you know, you never know. Alright, I think up here it's fine. I'm going to add just a brake section, just a slight one right before the last corner there, because they were getting up a little bit on the... a little high on the turn there, so we'll go ahead and just, 31 miles an hour should be fine. We'll see here. call this toboggan run. Toboggan run. There we go. So now we got another small coaster in there, but it's still considered a coaster. It still counts. Put some. I just noticed that there's a little a path or a nice area for some trees, stuff like that, and looks like they didn't put any trees in. So let's go ahead and plonk a few trees in here. Where else can we put just something? Maybe nothing huge, but you know, maybe just enough to satisfy this thing. Right in here, maybe. We kind of left a little bit of an open area. Is there something small we could do? Or even we can also put in a like a boat rental or something like that too. Maybe right here we could put a small boat rental. Oh, that's the dinghy slide. Put the boat rental here. I'm going to go around this fountain too, so they have something to look at while they're rolling by. Ooh, well, missed. So there's that done. We'll go through the entrance and exit in here. Open this up. That might be a bit of a long queue line, so we'll cut it back there, and then we'll just run the path down through here and across, and we can clear all these trees out. We can put something in here too. That will leave them as rowing boats. I think that'll be fine. Like what could fit in this small area here? They have monorails. You know what? A chairlift might work really well back here. Plonk it down there and then go up. Ah, shoot. I'll have to do this. Where do we want to put the first station up here at? I might be able to wedge it right in here. And then bring this up. Oh, that's when I hit that. Let's not do that. Bring this around and turn it. And we'll bring it back down to station level. And there we go. Open this up. Oh, I forgot about this station. Put that here and here. Open this up. Just to have people have just another option to get back to the front of the park. Or, inversely, people just came in, it's a lot easier to get to the back of the park. Well, for a small stream like this, in 3 hours, it seems like we got a lot or I got a lot done. I'm kind of proud of what we did. We actually got the scenario done. So yeah, let's try. What else? Let's buy this land really quick. Let's buy all this, and then let's build one more big coaster. Well, or maybe not buy all this land, because that's expensive. Just fast forward a little bit since we're not really worried about time anymore. Oh, we got cotton candy for the advertisements. That should bring more people in. You can even see from this advertisement screen here how many rides we have going on right now, which is pretty cool. I'm thinking if we get rid of these coasters here, we can, since we really just built those to help with the scenario, we can clear these out and actually have a decent area for a mid-sized coaster. I don't think it's going to be anything record-breaking or anything like that, but it'll still be a nice little coaster. Another feature I do like is they actually added a path thing in here, so you can clear path in huge chunks. It's going to take a lot of people getting lost, maybe, but it does help, especially with there's a scenario earlier on in Roller Coaster Tycoon 2 called Factory Capers, and that thing took forever to clear out right when you started that game because there were so many paths that went around. The scenery was really easy to get rid of. But once you get rid of the scenery, you had to take all the paths down one by one. And it took a good solid probably 15 or 20 minutes to do so. So let's get back on the path here before we start building. One more guest. And that's it. This will probably be the last thing we do today. But don't worry, we'll be back on Thursday with some actually Grand Theft Auto 5 with the new auto racing there. But yeah, well, let's see what kind of coaster have we not done yet. We'll do an inverted coaster. Bring that out. I might just try to plan out how I want to do this. Turn it first and then we'll head up the hill. Bring it down. Can we turn? Yeah, we can. I like that. And then we'll bring it down. Bring it down all the way we can. I might try to do what I was trying to do with the other one. We'll go up a bit and then we'll do... We have to level it off and then do the half corkscrew to the left, the half way a little higher here, do level, and then do the to the right first. We can't do that. That sinks. All right. Well, why don't we do the drop this way then? Level it out. Turn it, and then we can drop it once again here. And then we'll go. Keep it going up, up, up. Level it out. Half corkscrew to the left. Half a loop. All right, I'm just going to have to do the landscaping. And then we'll do another. Might have, you know what? We'll do the photo section, and then start going up for the other half loop, and then we'll do the corkscrew to the right, left. And there we go. That was what I was trying to do earlier with the steel twisting coaster, but I couldn't quite get that one to work. But I think this will work on this ride pretty well as well. Then we'll drop it down. Wait just for a little bit more cash. That'll give us enough for right this second. This back down. Down. I thought I might just have to keep it level through here. Just drop it down just a bit. Bring it up. Nope, can't do that quite yet. Up, up. There we go. Then we'll do brakes. Maybe not quite yet. We'll do brakes and the block brakes, and that'll be a done coaster. Block brakes. There we go. Throw the entrance exit on here. And we'll go ahead and test it. I already do have a name for this one. I think I'm gonna, since it was yellow, I'll call it the Golden Dragon. There we go. Let's see how this works out. I just love that element where it does. We used to call it the Iron Butterfly, where we did the this kind of feature here with the half loops and corkscrews. I just like how that looks. I think it works well with this ride, and I think this. It looks like it went well. Hopefully the stats will show that as well. Alrighty, there's that one taken care of. We'll just do a little bit of landscaping and some decorations around it, since we do have like an Asian themed building style. We can add just a few, maybe even do a little bit more detailing than we usually did. It's kind of hard to work in kind of these tight spaces. We can make it work. Right. Alright, so we're just going to finish this up. So a basic roof on there, nothing too big. Go. And then we'll do one last look through the park just to see what we did for the stream, and then we'll call it a day. All right, so we started out over here. We started out with this. This was just a basic grass field, essentially. Built all the all these rides in here. Cobra was here when we started, but we completed the loop around here, and the car ride and the gardens. This was quite a nice ride. Moving over, this was originally our real small coaster area. Originally, when we did this, we're just trying to get the. I just noticed that coaster was completely off the ground. But when we originally did this was just for getting the scenario completed. But we tore those down and actually built the Iron Dragon, which is that's been a pretty good coaster. Probably the best one I've built on the stream today. Moved over here, built a nice theme park, or a thrill ride area with the go-karts, the cinema, and the top spin here. The rapids were already here. Our first custom coaster was this inline coaster, which was okay. I wasn't too happy about that, but it still worked. And then we built these two other coasters, the stand-up coaster and the and Floored, which is our steel twist coaster, which is starting to get a little bit better, starting to get back into the hang of things. Build up this area a little bit with a little more gentle rides in the food area. And if we move back more, Laughlin was there, new inverted coaster. This side of the park we really didn't get too much done on. This was pretty decently laid out. We did put the toboggan ride in. Twister and stuff like that. A lot of this stuff was already here. This is actually a pretty good ride in and of itself. So this wooden coaster. So yeah, we kind of left this side alone and we focus on the rest of the park, just so that we can fill it out a little bit better. If we zoom out, I mean, we got a lot of this park filled out, and to be honest, it looks pretty nice too. I quite like it, and we completed the scenario in the stream too. So I'm happy about that, and I think that's where I'm going to wrap it up here. But thank you guys for coming out. If you're watching this later, thank you for coming out and watching the video. I do streams on Tuesdays and Thursdays. This Thursday is going to be the new open wheel racing in Grand Theft Auto 5, and I think maybe next Tuesday we're going to be coming back to Roller Coaster Tycoon. We might try another Six Flags park or another one of the harder scenarios. So if you enjoyed it, please leave a follow to see when I am actually streaming. And I do thank the chat for coming out today. It was great, had fun with it, especially for the first one, and hope to see you guys again on Thursday then.